Mormont. You remember a few years ago, well, a number of years ago, when Rush Limbaugh talked about the NFL players looking like a game between Bloods and the Crips? Well, doesn't come off as so racist because, I viewed it as racist at the time. But now, being more mature and just seeing all of this bullshit with these Negroes, that quote is very truth telling. Now, in this instance, we're not talking about the NFL, we're talking about the NBA, but there's been so many instances, with these athletes, whether they are active or former. I mean, again, with the former athletes, you got multiple basketball players, getting involved in schemes and scams and getting locked up for that. Former ball players assaulting their kids. Amari Stoudemire, Ben Gordon, as an example. Shannon Sharp, funny enough, trying to get into an altercation with Mormont and his father, acting like some regular old thug Negro. And then, of course, you can't forget Willie McGinnis that just did a bottle attack, practically attempted murder on a man. And, he faces up to 8 years. But this instance involves Ja Mormont, who, again, just recently, he allegedly beat up a 17-year-old. A 17-year-old while he had a gun in his waistband. And this is a Negro that's in the NBA, grew up with both of his parents, and he recently got a signature shoe from Nike. So what is his excuse? What is his excuse? Who do you blame? Well, obviously I say blame him, but also most notably blame this so-called culture, which encourages this thug, gangster, and wannabe thug gangster mentality. Because I found out apparently this dude is a Crip, which quite frankly isn't a surprise because you see in a lot of celebrations with college players and professional players in the NBA and NFL in particular, they're always throwing up little gang signs. Some of them try to sort of scapegoat it on, oh no, we're just doing a hand sign that means 3 or something like that. But no, these fools regularly are throwing up gang signs because they want to be affiliated. I mean, Steven Jackson, not too long ago, bragging about being on a street where people get killed. I'm at O Block. I'm real. I'm at O Block. Again, dudes 40s and in their 40s and 50s still perpetuating this mentality, which again comes from this thing that they call the culture, which is basically just, hip hop, rap, and all of the ignorant personas that gets marketed outside of that or within that. Everything within hip hop and rap, the gangster pimp persona filters out into people's actual everyday lives, where you see it influences how people talk, walk, dress, brand their bodies with all these damn tattoos. And again, it just goes to show you, because especially in Ja Mormont's case, he has the 2-parent home, he has a successful career, but it just goes to show you, even with all those elements, you still fall into this nonsense because the one thing that's still celebrated the most is not having a father. Hell, you go within the community, you get mocked for that. It's not being rich and successful. No, the thing that's still most elevated is somebody that's a thug, that's a gangster, or is presented as one. Now, this latest incident involved him appearing on social media showing a gun. And again, this is not too long after he was already accused of having a gun on him while assaulting a 17-year-old, which was followed by a celebration he did in game, by the way, making gun signs in a game. And then following that game, he has a gun on his social media. Now, one thing I did notice is Nike is still supporting this guy. Now, if you do something harmless, sharing a link to a video, well, Nike will oust you, tear up your contract, like they did with Kyrie. But if you're out here with gang affiliations, allegedly assaulting teenagers while armed, and then showing gun signs in game, and then a real gun on social media, well, Nike will still be in support of that, because again, that's the type of BS that they want to promote. Chaos and destruction. Which again, it's no surprise, because it's not like Nike are some noble people. They profit off of child labor. So them promoting some thug and that thug gangster persona is, just one among of their many offenses. Now, it seems like he's going to get a suspension for a mere 2 games. But, again, this behavior, this mentality is just representative of that so-called culture that these Negroes like to talk about. Because again, if it's not want to be gangster, want to be thug, is want to be pimp, player, hoe, just like whatever low-level degenerate nonsense you can imagine, that's what gets supported. That's what gets elevated. And that's why you see these people always trying to live up to that persona, even if they weren't born and raised around it. Again, it reminds you of the character, if you've seen the movie ATL with T.I., where Lauren London played a character that was acting all ghetto and hood, and then you come and find out she's a rich girl. And again, that character is just such a relevant character, because to me, that character represents most so-called black people. Because obviously, the majority of so-called black people aren't committing crimes, but the ones that aren't, especially amongst the youth, they're trying to present themselves as if they're criminals based on their so-called culture being all about pushing that mentality and pushing that as something cool to be, which is thug, gangster, killer, pimp, hoe. I mean, I just did a story not too long ago about Michael B. Jordan being labeled as corny. Well, what is considered corny within the so-called culture? A law-abiding citizen, a responsible person, an educated person, a person with goals and ambitions that have nothing to do with the streets. Those are the things that are considered corny. And the biggest thing within the community is to be viewed and seen as cool, even if it involves aligning yourself with heinous nonsense. I mean, again, they promote people like Snoop Dogg doing crip walking at major sporting events, like he did at the Super Bowl, like Serena Williams did on the tennis court at a major. Like, you're literally promoting through these celebrities at major events someone doing a death dance, because those dancers represent celebration from a killing group, a killing organization, or a gang, as people are familiar with that title probably more so than the others. But yeah, you're promoting the dance of a gang that murders people and more than likely probably celebrates like that after killing people, and not just other criminals or other gangsters, but innocent people as well. Because more often than not, innocent people can just fall victim to some death ritual where someone has to prove themselves, some sort of initiation, and so an innocent life gets taken. So again, if you wonder why or wonder how someone like John Mormont or many people like him still get caught up in these situations where they're acting all thugged out and gangster, I mean, it's simple. It's part of the fabric of the community in which this sort of behavior is viewed as being part of a culture. It's immensely disturbing. And again, the fact that he only is getting 2 days off, I mean, whatever. I really hope, again, and this is a prime example of why I truly do hope, if all this chaos is going to exist, I believe the people who enable it the most deserve to get hit by it as well. But, and again, this is on top of all the other nonsense that the NBA openly promotes. The Marxist BLM nonsense, their affiliation with the CCP, Communist China Party, the drag LGBTQ stuff, which funny enough, the only players within sports that are standing up against that are like rugby players, NHL players, and baseball players, basically in leagues that isn't viewed as so-called black leagues. But again, it's no surprise that they support that degenerate nonsense because they support this degenerate nonsense. Which got further sort of elevated during the reign of Allen Iverson. I mean, he was a real big deal in promoting gangsterism and thuggism in professional sports, specifically the NBA. Because before, as what was revealed in that Jordan doc, before it was just, you knew these dudes were like involved with drugs and sort of self-destructive behavior. But this promoting gang banging, and thug violence, that stuff that's not just self-destructive, but it's destroying the lives of other people as well. And the fact of the matter is, these professional leagues support it. Which again brings you back to that that comment from probably like a couple of decades ago now, where Rush Limbaugh, as far as I'm concerned, properly described the pro leagues. It's just a bunch of gangbangers on the field or on the court. And it's these players themselves, through the signs they throw up, through the tattoos that they have, through the company that they keep, that is doing nothing but proving Rush Limbaugh right. And again, it's happening on the college campuses as well, which are being terrorized, by the way. But, you fools that refuse to stop supporting this stuff, keep on supporting it and keep on supporting people like John Mormont. And then when the drama start reaching these events, which they already have. I mean, I almost forgot about that shooting that took place, I believe, after a playoff game between Milwaukee Bucks and Boston Celtics. But yeah, I mean, it's a prime example. The drama is reaching these areas, and people keep on supporting it. And I'm talking about people who claim to be against the agendas that they are pushing, but they just can't help to divorce themselves because they worship this stuff. I mean, again, just keep on, and soon the hood nonsense will be at your front door.